Let's bring in now Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General. Mr. Attorney General, thanks for being here. We've been trying to get a plan, or maybe the plan is no plan, that's been the plan so far, out of the White House for what happens after Title 42. What's Texas's plan when the floodgates open for illegals?
So this was the last vestige of any type of federal law that would protect us from illegal immigration. The Biden administration over the last 2 years, whether it's stopping the building of the wall, whether it's continuing catch and release, whether it's the Remain in Mexico program, whether it's Title 42, they have announced literally on day one that they were going to stop deportations. They have dismantled federal law by themselves, not with the approval of Congress. And so it's very important that we just got this victory in Remain in Mexico. This is our best hope of protecting the people of Texas and the people of this country from illegal immigration and the consequences that Bill Maloogian just talked about.
Mr. Attorney General, I have to ask, the Biden administration is acting like they have a plan. There's something they're going to unveil. You would think they'd be coordinating with, for example, perhaps a border state like Texas. Do you have any indication of their plan if Title 42 expires?
You know, that's been the frustrating part about dealing with them. There are massive consequences to our state, whether you talk about the drugs that Bill Maloogian was referring to or just the massive influx of illegals and the consequences of that. We've never been given information about a plan, and I don't suspect we're going to get one this time. And I'm very suspicious of any so-called plan that they have not shared with the border states. Obviously, it affects us on a daily basis with 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people a day crossing the border.
Let me ask you this, because this is a statement from Abdullah Hassan. He's the Assistant White House Press Secretary. He says, to be clear, the lifting of the Title 42 public health order does not mean the border is open. Anyone who suggests otherwise is doing the work of smugglers and spreading misinformation to make a quick buck off of vulnerable migrants. What do you say to that?
I just say, look at the facts. I mean, we've had over 2 million people cross the border the last fiscal year. We've had, since the Biden administration took over the presidency, over a 300% increase in illegal immigration. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. So this idea that somehow Title 42 going away, which we know is going to cause a massive influx, because what they're now going to do, that was our only remaining vestige of some type of law that prevented people from coming across and claiming asylum. So now they come across and claim asylum. That's why the Remain in Mexico is so important. That's the provision in the law that deals with asylum and making people stay in their country of origin or be detained until they get to their hearing. The Biden administration wants to just let them all in, send them to where they're going to go, and then hope that someday they have a hearing.
So, Mr. Attorney General, we know there's no plan. We know Title 42 is expiring. We know you're not getting support from the federal government. Let's just set that aside. That's a given. But we know an even larger invasion is coming. Your job and the governor's job is to safeguard the citizens of Texas. So I'd sort of ask again, like, what is the new approach Texas can take in light of this invasion? It's unsustainable. It erases our sovereignty. Are there more tools you haven't yet used that you can do to safeguard your state?
So we've got the legal means that I just talked about. We are arresting people that are crossing illegally that we can arrest for state law violations. The problem is the way that this used to work is that people would come across the border and they were trying to hide from Border Patrol. They were coming across all types of areas trying to avoid. They were evading, the Border Patrol. Yeah. Now, because of the Biden administration, the cartels know, hey, there's a deal here. Just bring as many people as possible.
Want to be found.
To the Border Patrol, and they turn themselves in. There's that, which puts us in a difficult spot, because now it's the cartels working with Border Patrol, not their fault, because the Biden administration has told them to do that, and then the Biden administration takes them from there. So there's nowhere for Texas to intervene. This is all set up to make it impossible for us to stop illegal immigration.
Attorney General, I have a question for you. I was down in Texas not too long ago, and a local journalist there said the real story is the NGOs. The real story is the money going there, the shoddy way they're hiring people within the NGOs to vet people. She told me there was just like high school kids that they're, recent graduates that are now doing the job of vetting people coming to our country, and they're doing it within 24 hours. I personally witnessed at an airport people coming from the Dominican Republic who've only been in our country for 24 hours. So who's doing the vetting? Talk to me about the NGOs and the responsibility they bear and their role in this entire open border policy from the Biden administration.
Yeah, and that's a great question. These non-governmental organizations, we believe, are participating in violating our state and federal laws. And we're actually starting to look at that. We've already had an investigation, believe it or not, of our Texas State Bar Foundation that we believe are participating in helping people come here illegally and not doing it the right ways. And so we started that investigation several months ago. We just stepped that up, and we're looking for information about other non-governmental organizations that are doing just the same. So this is just the beginning. We're going to try that angle to see if there's a way that we can at least inhibit some of these non-government entities from doing illegal work for the federal government or for whoever.
So, Mr. Attorney General, I'd love to ask you one follow-up to Pete's question about the tools at your disposal. And I want to say, I think I speak for all of us when we really appreciate you coming on and answering these questions. And I think we're all on the same side of hoping to solve what seems to be an impossible, or maybe not impossible, an unwilling issue of the federal government to solve. And that is this: a few weeks ago, a month ago, you got in Texas, you declared, the governor put out his declaration of an invasion, availing new powers in his statement for the state to deport illegal immigrants to the border. It was criticized by some like Ken Cuccinelli, who said, there's no point in taking somebody to the border. You have to take somebody across the border for it to be effective. What I would love to ask you today is, A, your response to that, and B, have you seen any appreciable effect after you declared that invasion in helping this crisis?
Yeah, and it goes back to the challenge that I talked about. Most of the people are not trying to evade Border Patrol. They're going directly to Border Patrol. So the idea of declaring an invasion it's a fact. I mean, it is an invasion, and it should give us the authority to do more. We have two challenges. One, the fact that they're bringing people to the border, but they're bringing them to Border Patrol, which takes us out of the equation. And second, we still have this Supreme Court decision, Arizona v. U.S., that was decided under the Obama administration that said the federal government had complete control over the border. We need to challenge that. And so we're looking for angles where one of our state government officials, whether it's the legislature, whether it's the governor, violates that. We get sued, and then we can take it back up and say, hey, that decision can't be right. It cannot be right that the federal government can have its own laws, avoid enforcing them, and then say that the states can't protect themselves by availing themselves of those same laws. That doesn't make any sense, because otherwise the federal government just passes laws and there's really no consequence other than to say now the states can't protect themselves. That cannot be the right outcome.
So actively looking for that constitutional challenge.
Yep.
All right. Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, thank you very much for coming on, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.